Wow, we are live on YouTube and on my Substack. And if you don't know what Substack is, ask me later. We've put up all of the recordings of what we've done so far. We've been doing this since the beginning of June. Anyway, welcome. It's so generous and gracious of you all to be here tonight. Thank you so much for coming. It's really wonderful to see everybody. You know, we're all mammals and sometimes we get a little twitchy about things. So why don't we just all look around and see who's here so we can feel a little safer with the people that are here. Hey, everybody. Nice to have you here. All right. It's really generous of you to bring yourselves too. You're really doing it not just for yourselves, but for all the other people here, right? Because what's a Sangha unless there are Sangha members? So glad to have you here. We have a couple of notes before we get started. The first one is about Dana. We don't take Dana for doing this. However, the Bodhi Tree has graciously given us this space without charging rent, which is something. So there is a box on the cabinet on the other side. And if you're so inclined and wish to contribute to continuing the work of the Bodhi Tree, it would be great if you put a little something in there. But please don't feel any obligation to do it. QR code. There may be, I don't know. There's a box there though. Okay, a bio break. We have a break after the first whatever we're doing, right, Amy? I mean, it's usually about 6 or 7 minutes. There's a restroom in there. We would encourage you not to use the lock on the handle because most people forget that they've locked it. It will let you out, and then when you leave and close the door, it's locked and we have to go punch the code in. There's also a slide you can use, and that'll work just fine. The equipment, again, I've mentioned this, but some new people came in, is streaming. We are streaming right now. The idea is that when Amy moves, and she will be moving next week, are you going to be at what time does your flight leave?
Like 8 a.m.
Oh, she will not be on a plane while
No,
we're doing this.
but I will.
But yeah,
I will though.
yeah.
There's a
So,
layover, then I'm gonna probably still be on the plane.
okay. So,
Yeah.
but in subsequent weeks, we're not exactly sure when that'll get started. You will be sitting here with me and a TV set with a simulacrum of Amy in there, possibly AI generated. We're not sure yet. Anyway, it's also if you can't make it for some reason and you want to tune in, you can. We also put it up on my Substack page so that people can, do whatever. And we've had some comments. Benjamin told us about some experiences he had recently. All right, so this is Amy's last physical sit with us unless she changes her mind about when she's leaving again. This has been her last sit with us for how long now? um, and we're going to miss her a lot. Just, but we're not losing her, right? We're keeping her, and if there's plenty of ways to stay in touch.
Appreciate you doing that.
So, with that, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, the joke that we were just making for those that don't know is with the contract that I have. At first, it was August 27th that I was supposed to leave for Alaska for this job. Then it was September 3rd. And now it's September 17th. But the flight is booked. And so I've been preparing along the way. And so I've had multiple like goodbyes. This is definitely feeling like it's for real, for real. I don't mean to play with anyone's emotions, yeah. So usually we start with some motion, but I'm feeling like I want to kind of ground the energy. So I think we'll start seated today. So go ahead and let yourself get as comfortable as you can within an ability to have an awakened, awake-like posture, rested and awake. Many people feel supported by taking some longer, slower, deeper breaths. If that's in your practice, go ahead and do that for yourself right now. As we take these longer, slower, deeper breaths, it is allowed, it's okay to make some noise. In the Dharma, we use the word wholesome. First, this word kind of didn't resonate with me. Felt a little sticky for me. Now, feels a little bit different. For me, it's skillful, safe, supportive. And that's what the invitation for this practice time is to be. What supports our mind and bodies to feel this present moment with the container of safety. And as I speak to you through this guidance, it's my intention is to plant seeds that allow the nervous system to relax into this moment. In these bodies we carry. Choosing an anchor to help support staying here and now. And that anchor can be one of your own choosing. Maybe the breath, like the nose, the abdomen. Could be the completeness of the breath in its full cycle. And when the mind gets distracted by sounds or thoughts, simply noting that. It doesn't need to be a distraction. It can simply be part of the unfolding of here and now. If the mind experiences not wanting certain sounds, not wanting certain body sensations or thoughts, acknowledging that. Aversion is here. Of course it is. Noting tinged with acceptance, understanding, care, maybe even love. Dropping in the question, what does the mind and body need right now to soften into the moment just a little more? What does the mind and body need right now? Soften into the moment just a little more. Maybe the body needs to shift a little. That's available here. You can mindfully shift. Maybe it needs the opposite. Maybe it needs a little more stillness. When I need more stillness, I simply remind myself, as gentle as I can, to just stay. Stay. Trusting in this practice. Stay. Maybe what's needed is to focus on sensations in the body, or to shift to metta, compassion phrases. Oh, this is hard right now. Let me be kind to myself. My brain is crazy right now. Let me be kind to myself. Or my body is hurting or tired. May I be understanding of this discomfort. And then we return to the anchor if it's available. And if not, we titrate back to whatever is skillful this moment. I'm going to be silent for a few moments. Encouragement to stay with an anchor of the present, with compassion. Nowhere to go, nothing to do, no one to be, just here and now. It starts to get still inside. Might be able to trust that whatever arises, it's meant to be here. A combination of the conscious and the unconscious minds coming together and allow for insights. Little awakenings. Little moments of seeing clearly. But the mind is a tricky place because sometimes that can become story. And the kicker is we don't really know unless we know, and then we might not know. But if we can hold it gently, the insights in this practice support me. They support the the softening of my heart. My healing. May they support the world and all the lives we touch. And then we return to the anchor. It's a patient process. It's an experiment. Sea of presence, grounding, and deep, authentic compassion, and soften our lives. And support our peace, even when the world is spinning around us. And we return to the anchor. Time and time again. Not forgetting love. Love and acceptance and presence is hard to find today or in your life. May you find it along your path. May all beings, everywhere without exception, find a path that allows for many, many moments of presence, compassion, acceptance, wisdom, understanding. Deep care, embodied in love. May all beings feel safe and protected. All beings feel happy, healthy. All beings feel seen and loved. May all beings have and feel, may all beings feel ease and peace. Thank you all. So, our break usually starts in about 5 minutes. So, in that in mind, I think I'll encourage you all to do some mindful movement on your own. And that can be stretching or walking. The encouragement is to consider and pause and feel and move in the body as if it was your closest friend, dearest friend, or a puppy, a newborn child, a dear beloved ancestor, grandparent, your favorite tree. If it was, if this body was just something that deserved unconditional love, it was the love of your life. Walk and move as if this body were the love of your life. And sometimes the love of our lives are tricky, so we need to be compassionate with it too. Yeah. Or you can sit, and then I'll ring the bell when the official break will begin, and then in which case we'll stay in silence. But I guess it's a little less formal. But I encourage you to stay mindful, and so I'll ring the bell in about 5 minutes. That's the official break. You can use the restroom or do what you'd like. Just we're gonna stay in silence, and then we'll come back. I think about 7 minutes after that. Thank you all.
Welcome back. I see we're all still here. It's nice. Let's take a nice deep breath in, a couple of deep breaths, either to wake up or to relax if we've been walking. Works for both. And if you need to wiggle because you've been sitting, go ahead. I'll be talking for a while, so we don't want anyone to be uncomfortable. Just allow ourselves to become still. And that's actually what I'm going to talk about tonight is stillness. When we uh, when we started this thing, we came up with the word stillness and awakenings. Amy came up with stillness, so I immediately decided I would talk about it. And she used the word awakenings tonight. I heard you. Which is kind of funny because those are sort of two things that come up in meditation. The idea of being still, and that's samatha, is sort of concentration, absorption practice, and this idea of awakening and becoming wise. And we usually hear that in the context of vipassana or insight meditation. And sometimes they seem a little at odds. But I'm going to talk tonight about how they aren't at all, at least in my mind. But I'd like to start with a Mary Oliver poem. She's sort of the patron poet of meditation, at least in the West. And this is a poem called Today. Today I'm flying low and I'm not saying a word. I'm letting all the voodoos of ambition sleep. The world goes on as it must. The bees in the garden rumbling a little, the fish leaping, the gnats getting eaten, and so forth. But I'm taking the day off, quiet as a feather. I hardly move, though I'm really traveling a terrific distance. Stillness, one of the doors into the temple. She's just such a wonderful poet. I love starting off with a little poetry, especially one on stillness for tonight. When I started coming up with the idea of talking about stillness, when we did this, I realized I couldn't start there. And that's why one reason you've heard me use the word generous so much, if you've been coming for the past few weeks. When the Buddha would start teaching somebody new to his Sangha, when a new yogi came, it wouldn't start by teaching meditation. It would start by talking about generosity. And I did that a few weeks ago and talked a lot about a generous spirit. And then the last time I talked about sila or ethics or how we behave. But again, that's really based in generosity, right? The five precepts that most householders take, one of them is not killing and not harming. And that's really giving the gift of freedom from fear for other beings, right? So it's a generous act. It's not this edict to say, oh, this is bad. No, it's asking us to give, to be generous to other beings and giving the gift of not taking what is not offered. That means we don't have to worry. Other beings don't have to worry about our acquiring their things. And it goes much deeper than that. Um, Giving the gift of using our sexuality without harm, right? This way, our partners can feel safe. They know we know what consent is. We know what mutual affection is. We're not sort of dominating. We're not using it in a bad way. And then giving with our words the gift of truth and kindness and appropriateness in our words. This isn't some stricture against bad speech. It's asking us to be generous and think about what we talk about. And of course, then there's the gift we give ourselves, which is the last precept of having a clear mind, of not polluting our mind with substances that will keep us from finding freedom from suffering. Now, I don't mean not having a beer on Sunday when you're watching the ball game or something, but if we're going to be practitioners of this, we need to find a start in a place of clarity, a place of reality where we can see clearly, where we can learn to see clearly. Um, so tonight I want to talk about samatha practice, which is the Pali word for tranquil or calm. We hear a lot about vipassana and insight meditation. That's predominantly what is trained in the West, and you'll see it a lot, and it's mindfulness or insight meditation. But there's another part to meditation as well, which is this idea of developing calm, of developing concentration. And even in Vipassana, it's sort of important to get to a place where we can be calm and still enough to start having insight. But Samatha can be taken further. I often thought that when I first started on this path, I thought, no, Vipassana is the real meditation. You know, I've got to have this insight. I've got to learn how to do this. But I've been also taught by some very good teachers who've taught me that they're sort of paths that are not separate. It's one path, incorporating, if you will. I think that the way I love hearing it is two wings of a bird. You can't fly if you're a bird without both wings. Um, and the Buddha actually talks a lot about both as being skilled. Um, I'm going to read this. This is from the Numbered Discourses, and it's a lovely. There's a part in it I get a big laugh out of. Maybe you'll be able to figure out what it is. Um, so this is from the Suttas. Suppose that upon checking, the mendicant knows this. That's the renunciant, the yogi. I have serenity, but not discernment. Grounded on serenity, they should practice meditation to get discernment. After some time, they have both serenity and discernment. But suppose that upon checking, the mendicant knows this. I have discernment, but not serenity. Grounded on discernment, they should practice meditation to get serenity. After some time, they have both serenity and discernment. But suppose upon checking, the mendicant knows this. I have neither serenity nor discernment. In order to get these skillful qualities, they should apply extraordinary enthusiasm, effort, zeal, vigor, perseverance, mindfulness, and situational awareness. Suppose your clothes or head were on fire. In order to extinguish it, you would apply intense enthusiasm, effort, zeal, vigor, perseverance, mindfulness, and situational awareness. In the same way, to get these skillful qualities, that mendicant should apply extraordinary enthusiasm. After some time, they have both serenity and discernment. But suppose that upon checking, the Buddha loves to repeat things over and over. The mendicant knows this. I have serenity and discernment. Grounded on those skillful qualities, they should practice meditation further to end the defilements. And so we can see in this path both of those skills, both of these paths, samatha and what we think of as vipassana, are both something that it's good to achieve. So it we can talk further about the idea that we aren't going to achieve freedom from suffering just through concentration practice. We do need the insight, but they are not necessarily as separate as I know I was led to believe early on, mostly by what was in my mind. I'm not saying anybody taught me badly, but I tend to misinterpret things. Um, Generally, we're aiming for insight that liberates. Uh, Pia Tan is a wonderful scholar in Singapore, Buddhist scholar who I was turned on to through one of my teachers, Bonnie Duran. And he says this, and this is where the two wings of the bird come in. There are no hard and fast rules about samatha and vipassana. They are two integral and vital aspects of the cultivation, bhavana, that's what we cultivate when we're meditating, of the mind. They complement each other and help to harmonize the different parts of the mind in meditation and daily life. Each of them has a special purpose. That is when we rightly use them, but they always work together for our mental development. As such, the Buddha declares that the proper cultivation of samatha or mental calm leads to the ending of lust and emotional defilements, while the proper cultivation of vipassana leads to the ending of ignorance or cognitive defilements. So they both deal then with different parts of what we are trying to liberate ourselves from. Neither is dispensable, he says. Our brain, for example, has two halves, the left brain and the right brain that work together. Even when the two halves of the human brain are surgically separated from one another, it still works single-mindedly in some ways. Um, So samatha and vipassana, concentration and wisdom, must both be harmoniously cultivated, just as a bird flies on its two wings. And so that's been a real liberating gift for me to come to realize that there are many ways to practice. And, I don't expect personally that I will be awakened, enlightened, or be the next Buddha in this life. So I've got lots of times, assuming there's more lives to come. Um, in fact, for myself, for the last since last summer, actually the summer before last, I've actually made one of the samatha practices more or less my main concentration, which is metta, loving kindness, which is, after all, a practice that we are can use to develop consciousness because we're being single-minded in a sense, one-pointed about concentrating on the idea of loving kindness. Metta is, and here's something I found, metta is a powerful and traditional practice for developing samatha or mental tranquility. While samatha is usually associated with focusing on the breath, metta provides an alternative object. So we can focus on loving kindness, develop this sense of samatha. And as we do that, of course, I will tell you that in my experience, insights do arise. It's not like there's no insight available through concentration. It's going to percolate. I think one of the fears people occasionally posit about it is that we'll become so attached to the lovely, the jhanas, essentially, to these wonderful, deep experiences that we'll hold on to them. Um, and I was reading, oh, I wish I could remember his name. He passed away, but he wrote a wonderful book on emptiness. Comes from the Gaia House in England. He says, I've never seen that. I've never seen a yogi who actually really works on concentration, get so attached to it that it's just a drug and they never work on vipassana or insight. And so it's what I've been doing. My teachers told me to do this for the next year or so. So that's more or less what I'll be doing. Um, and what can happen when you practice deep concentration? Um, it's kind of hard in a setting like this where we've got 25-minute sittings, but we can enter what are known as these jhana states of deep concentration. And if you're on a retreat, even a shorter retreat, it is possible. Though again, it's not something we necessarily should be striving for because we really shouldn't be striving for things in meditation, right? If you have a goal at any given sitting, I can almost promise you won't achieve it. That's been my experience anyway. Um, but the first four jhana states are rupa jhana. They're sort of body material jhanas. The first one is the meditator experiences pleasant sensations and euphoria, but still has thought. The second is joy and sensitivity increase and thought ceases, replaced by a one-pointed stillness where you are very easily focused on one thing, and a deep sense of well-being. The third jhana, joy transforms into a gentler feeling of contentment and equanimity, which is the being okay with things as they are. And the fourth jhana, material jhana, is an utter state of peace, stillness, and equanimity where you have neither pleasure nor pain. You simply just are. Um, then there's four more jhanas, the arupa jhanas, which are sort of boundless. The fifth is the infinite space. You feel that you have this profound feeling of infinite space, as if your body is filling all existence or all existence is you. I have not experienced that. Uh, the sixth is infinite consciousness, where your consciousness expands infinitely to take in sort of everything is your consciousness. Sometimes we talk about consciousness being just this endless expanse. That would be a more awareness of that. The seventh jhana is the mind dissolves into a state of nothingness, a deep void. And the eighth is perception or non-perception. Um, Perceptions transcended. Those are the very deep, very cultivated, very practiced ones. From my experience is it is possible on longer retreats, at least for me, to achieve some of the effects of the material or rupa jhanas. Um, and what is the purpose of the practice of this? Okay, it strengthens the mind's ability to focus. It does promote insight by generating concentration, at which time insight, in my experience, can occur on its own. The jhanas help overcome suffering and achieve spiritual liberation, but they are, again, transitory in the sense that they are not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal does come, if there to be said, to reach nibbana, to reach liberation from suffering, really requires both. But if you're ever around people, and there are some who say all you need is vipassana, you can find in the suttas and in the Buddha's words the idea that both are necessary. Piatan says, oh, vipassana is not a practice. And he also says samatha is not a practice. There's not samatha practice and vipassana practice. He says there's practice, and these are two elements of it, just like there's a bird, and these are the two wings of a bird, right? So that's my talk for tonight. We are going to sit for about 20 minutes or so, maybe a little longer. And we are going to practice one of my favorite meditations, which is metta. But we're going to do it, well, you'll see. I've done this before here. Um, this one comes from not the Metta Sutta so much, but from another one, and it escapes me. But it's the idea of pervading metta. So we may start with repeating phrases, and if it's comfortable, if you need that to strengthen yourself in practicing metta, please feel free to continue. And if you just want to sit and not do metta, that's perfectly okay too. Whatever floats your boat. So let me find the bell here. Thank you all for coming. Let's settle into a comfortable meditation posture. For those of you who prefer to lie down, metta is one of those that you are absolutely okay to lay down in, to find yourself comfortable in. It's a practice where we want to be as comfortable as possible. This is not Zen. Amy will not hit you with a stick, even if you ask. Well, maybe if you ask, I don't know.
Really quickly.
Let me start my timer here so I know when to come back, just in case I get into that, infinite consciousness thing. Very unlikely. Let's start by just taking a nice cleansing breath in, if breathing has something to do is comfortable for you. Just a few deep breaths on our own. Allowing our consciousness to settle in our body, the same way our body is settled into our cushion or our chair, laying down, whatever your posture is. We can get a sense of the earth holding us and cherishing us, letting the gravity just keep us in place. And let's let our mind settle in our body the same way, allowing our consciousness to drop into our heart space, our heart mind, chitta, allowing our breath to return to normal, whatever that may be for you. And just beginning by becoming comfortable with our body for a moment, just allowing ourselves to check out if we have tightness or comfort, warmth or cool, softness or roughness, whatever we may be experiencing. We might even have a moment of gratitude for our body that has brought us here tonight. If you're comfortable with the silent thought of thank you, body, we might thank ourselves. We might thank our body. Before we move into the pervading of metta, I like to start by sort of lighting a pilot lamp or a candle. And so I do invite us, if it's comfortable for you, to bring to mind the most loving being you can think of. This might be you, might be a puppy, might be a kitten or a baby, a beloved auntie, someone that's just a joy to be around. We'll bring them to mind. And we'll begin with the phrases of metta, just to light our pilot lamp. So holding this being in mind, we offer silently, may you be well. May you be safe and protected. May you live with ease. I find it helpful for me to put my hand on my heart, so I invite you, if it's comfortable for you, to do the same and just feel the warmth of the touch. Even our own touch can release the chemicals of feeling comfort and well-being. As we continue to hold this loving being in mind, may you be well. May you be safe and protected. May you live with ease. And I invite us to think of our heart space, this place we might be holding and touching with warmth, as a candle or a pilot lamp, just glowing with metta. If we do get distracted, we might return to the phrases, allowing them to be our anchor. We might even shorten the phrases to something such as may all be well, or simply metta. And now I invite us to see that our pilot lamp or our candle is in a room covered with curtains. There are curtains to the front, to the right, and back of us, to the left, above, and below. And our candle burns in the middle of this room, maybe weakly, maybe very strong. Metta will pervade, even if it's just a flicker. May all be well. Next, I invite us to lift the curtain to the front, allowing this metta to pervade all that is in front of us. The light of our metta reaches out to all beings with 2 legs, 4 legs, more legs, 2 wings, more wings. May all beings be well. We just feel our metta pervading to the front. Again, it might be strong, it might be weak, it might be in the middle. Metta reaches all. Indeed, it's pervading to the edges of all that is possible. Next, I invite us to open the curtain to the right and pervade metta to all beings to the right. Inviting ourselves to simply pervade and to know that metta is not only flowing out, pervading from us, but coming back to us from all beings to the right and to the front. Next, I invite us to open the curtain behind us and allow metta to pervade to the front, to the back, to the right. All beings on this quadrant, in front, right, and back. Feeling the warmth in our heart space, the sense of loving and friendliness and kindness, even if it's only a whisper, it can carry all the way to the edge of all that can be known. And now I invite us to open the curtain to the left, allowing metta to pervade 360 degrees around us, keeping our attention on pervading, on this sense of loving kindness, touching all beings around us, to the front, to the right, behind us, to the left of us, and metta flowing back to us from all these directions. Next, I invite us to take the curtains above us and open, allowing metta to pervade upwards, all the beings with wings, the devas of the planets and the stars, the galaxies, all shining metta back to us. And finally, we remove the curtains below us and pervade in all directions. Whether our light is strong or weak, it is present, reaching in all directions, just as metta from all directions reaches back to us. If we are distracted, we return to our candle, which is now open to all directions. If we're distracted, we can also pervade metta, knowing that even the distractions are part of the flow of metta. It's almost as if we are in a great ocean of metta, lovingly held and loving being held, pervading in all directions. If feelings or emotions arise, it's perfectly normal, almost bound to happen in metta practice. And we can always flavor our metta with the other Brahma Viharas. Feelings of sadness arise, we can bring in karuna or compassion. If feelings of joy or pleasure arise, even for self. In the West, we often allow ourselves to take pleasure in the joy, mudita. Most often, that would be taking pleasure in the joy of others, but it's important to recognize we too can be joyful. And if it's difficult, upekkha, can we hold this just for a moment? In this moment, can we be with this? All while pervading metta. Shortly, I'll invite the bell to ring. Don't hurry back. Just allow the sound to pervade along with the metta. But before we close, I'd like to leave us with this poem by Kabir, originally in Hindi. Still the body, still the mind, still the voice inside. In silence, feel the stillness move. Friends, this feeling cannot be imagined. Thank you for your practice.
Share it.
Go ahead. Say something.
They're meditators. They're very patient people.
The light wasn't on. Wanted to make sure my voice was preserved for posterity.
Is it working?
Yes, it's working now.
Oh, great.
So this is your part of the evening. If anybody has anything they'd like to say or ask a question.
Yeah, I got a question.
No, that's
You mentioned something about the
samatha. Samatha.
samatha practice and an insight vipassana
Right.
meditations. So one focus on, you said something about emotional defilement.
Yes.
And then the vipassana insight meditation that focus on the
Cognitive
cognitive
defilements.
Can you?
No, I can't explain it further. I was quoting from that. I can certainly direct you towards that. But the samatha practice will allow us to be calm and whatever with what's okay. The idea of vipassana and then the insight then is also with the idea that our thinking isn't always right. And so we clear those sort of thoughts that we have that are misguided. Vipallasa would be sort of the idea of being deluded. So that's where that came from. But that was a quote that I need to study more on. Yeah. Thank you for your question, though. I'll have a 500-page treatise for you next week. I'm sorry?
Corruption of logic, the corruption of emotion.
Yeah.
Because logic and emotion aren't necessarily correlated.
Yeah, I was wondering too if it had to do with kind of like insights around like the body or insights around maybe something that's a little bit more superficial versus like the insights that can go a little bit deeper into like maybe like our belief systems and stuff, like getting to the layers of our belief systems that can get. So I think there's like different within insights. I think you can have a spectrum of it, right? Like it could be an insight to like, oh, I was the shitty person there. That was my bad. That's I consider that an insight. I don't know about anybody else here. Um, to like, oh, this was connected to a childhood wound, and now I can give this like there can be like a sense of like understanding for why and like the love and the causes and conditions can be there. And then I no longer like hold on to that kind of like belief system about myself.
So that's a cognitive violence.
Yeah, but remember, belief systems are also tied up with our emotions, right? I don't think there's any way to separate. Yeah, I don't. I just don't think that. I think in the West we have this idea that there's a mind and there's a body, and the truth is there's just this, and that it's all tied up together. So it's really, in a sense, hard to separate um, what is triggering what. I was listening to a podcast with neurologists, neuroscientists, who were talking about so much of what we think has nothing to do with thinking. In other words, like if we drop something, right, and are startled by it, the reaction to it begins well before our mind even touches it, right? Before we even notice it. And our vision has very little to do with what we actually see. Something like 2 hours a day we're functionally blind. We just don't notice it because we're a movie, right? It's cycads, I think is what it's called, where our eye is just doing this and our brain is stitching together this movie. And it's trying to come up with the best guess of what should happen. So think about table tennis. Have you all watched table tennis on like the Olympics? And it's like incredibly fast. There's no way those people can keep up with that. By the time the ball is moving towards them, it's moving too fast for them to, oh, notice it and react to it. The brain is actually making that up. It is looking where the ball is and then it's guessing where it will be. And that's what we react to. So what we think of as thinking and what we think of as a bodily response, in my understanding, can be somewhat limiting.
Yeah. In the study that I don't remember the study, but I remember hearing about a study too that was like it's similar. It's like basically saying like we experience things somatically before we cognitively know what's happening. Like so like I'll notice in myself like I'll feel unease in my body and then it's like 5 hours later if I'm lucky I'll be like, oh, it was this. You know, like this was related to it. Or I'll get and it's still a guess too if it was this. But like and then I usually feel a sense of like lightening if I'm able to make a connection like, oh, this was like grief. You know, I had a lot of aversion come up yesterday. It was like aversion on aversion. I had aversion to aversion. And then I sat with a group, the Tuesday group that sets at the temple here. And I started just like someone planted in a question that was just like, you know, what's under it? And then all of a sudden I was just like crying. And that was actually really supportive because then I was like, oh, grief is here for me to be with. And it's funny too is like with insights if we try to grasp onto them that's its own set of like clinging too. I felt like when you were doing when you were guiding us or when you were doing the Dharma talk I like made the connections like my brain was like, oh, I know exactly the difference between this type of insight and this type of insight. I totally get where Bob's coming from. That's amazing. And then I totally like by the time we sat down to talk about it I couldn't have told you at all what I got. But it doesn't really matter. Like, I don't need to explain it to you all to trust, at least for myself. I trust that, like, this process is like helping support my wisdom, even if I can't tell you exactly how or why or what. But I guess because I'm in love with the Dharma.
You have zeal. It's like your head's on fire.
I have what?
Zeal and
Zeal.
enthusiasm, right? I love that. Sometimes I get a laugh out of some of the suttas because somebody's like, "What if your head was on fire? Wouldn't you attend to this?" Yeah. Look, we're happy to stay and continue talking, but it's 7:30 and sometimes people need to go. So we're happy to continue on, but why don't we dedicate the merit of what we've done tonight?
And let me say just too, like for
And-
people who might be leaving, it's been so amazing. Like I don't know how many times this is for me, for us now, like 12. How many times have we done this? You don't even know anymore.
I do know exactly.
What's the exact number?
Well, it was 6 and now it's 6.
So 12.
Yes.
Okay, so we've done this 12 times now, and I'm gonna miss you all. I know I'll be on the screen, but it's gonna be awkward, and you guys are gonna see all my double chins and all of my imperfections. It's gonna be wonderful. I'm so
Mostly their eyes are
excited about
closed,
that.
Amy. Just letting you know.
I know. You know. No, this has been amazing. I love being here with you all. And the dual, yeah. It's been great.
So
Thank you. Even if it's your first time, it's wonderful to sit with you all. Okay, merit.
merit, and then we can continue chit-chatting.
You merit up.
Merit. Let's dedicate the merit of our practice tonight to all the members of this Sangha, to our teachers, to our parents, and to all the beings around us, that they may reach enlightenment quickly and possibly be free from suffering in this very life. May all beings be safe and protected. May all beings be happy and open to joy. May all beings be healthy in body, heart, and mind. And may all beings live with ease and equanimity. So you're free to stay, you're free to go. Next week, Amy won't be here, so it won't be quite so gentle. Bring a backpack filled with 50 pounds of rocks. We'll be starting with a run. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, sir.
I'm going to end the stream.
Thanks for making me look awkward.